Hello, Bart Kay. I am so excited to have you here today. And, Bart, people know you online as Professor Bart Kay, the Nutrition Science Watchdog. You're not afraid to challenge people's beliefs and point out what's wrong. So I really want to get into carnivore and also anything controversial that you want to talk about. But could you tell us, who you are really? What is your actual scientific expertise? And what do you want people to understand about you and the work that you do?
Right. Yep. Okay, first of all, I'm absolutely down for the controversy. You may have heard that about me. It's a vicious rumor that's been floating around. Yes, okay, so in a previous life, I was an academic, as claimed. I worked for 20 years or so in 11 different universities or colleges on 4 different continents. So I moved around quite a bit. So that tells you something straight away. The longest I was ever at any one place was about 3.5 or 4 years, give or take. My areas of expertise changed 3 times throughout my academic career, mostly because I was kind of searching, looking for the thing that made sense, the thing that I could get my teeth into, teach, believe, get behind. I've always been, since I became a scientist, I've always been driven by scientific discipline, correct epistemology or epistemology, if you like, which translates to a way of knowing things, the rules of the game. And everywhere I went in the sciences, it looked to me like the rules had been thrown out the window. And so I kept changing. So I started out my first terminal research degree, and there's a good reason they're called terminal research degrees, by the way. The first one was in the physiology of rest and exercise. At that time, it was just called sports physiology or sports science. So I taught that for, I think it was nearly 10 years. And found all the problems with that, all the ways that things that were being taught that were just wrong, demonstrably, absolutely, unequivocally wrong. And I got to a point where I felt like I was swimming against the current too much. So I went, I'll go to human nutrition because that'll be backed in science, won't it? No, 4 or 5 years there to work out that there is absolutely not a scrap of science behind human nutrition science. It's a ring-fenced area of ideology, even worse than sports science was. So I went and got another degree. So I've got 3 of them. Most people have only got one terminal research degree. I've got 3 of them. The third one was in cardiovascular pathophysiology, which is a clever way of saying heart disease. What makes it happen? What doesn't make it happen? How do you prevent it? All of that kind of stuff. And I taught that for 4 or 5 years as well, making the grand total around about 20 years of teaching 3 different things on 11 different colleges and universities on 4 different continents. And then by the end of all of that, I went, you know what? This is not for me. I don't want to do this. I don't want to play. And all right. So I left academia permanently and irrevocably. I will never go back to it, ever. It's rubbish. The whole industry. Well, put it this way. When I started, I was judged as an academic according to the metric, what grades did my students achieve? Makes sense, doesn't it? By the end of it, 20 years later, the key metric by which an academic was being judged was how much did your students like you? Now, I had a problem with a lot of things in academia, but that was one of the things I had the biggest problem with. Because at the end of the day, as an academic, as an educator, it is not my job to be your mate or your friend. It's my job to teach you something. And you might not like it. Example, one of the things I'm quite expert in is pure and applied statistical inference, as in the rules of analyzing data for research purposes. Most academics allowed their students to use a software package called SPSS to calculate their statistics. Not me. I made them do it longhand. If they used SPSS, I gave them an F. Why? Because I wanted them to understand what was being done. What were the steps in these mathematics? Where are the flaws? Where are the foibles? Do you think my students appreciated the fact that I made them do these calculations longhand? No. Do you think they caned me for it in the reviews? You bet. However, if you look at where all of my students ended up, they're in a much better place than the average student. Why? Because they understood what was going on and could engage with it on that level. Most academics, even most academics with terminal research degrees, do not have the capacity to think. They regurgitate what they've been taught. So anyway, out of it. Then I didn't know what I was going to do because it's like existential crisis, especially for a man who's been doing something for a long time and then suddenly you're not that anymore. Who am I? What's my purpose in life? And a friend of mine said to me, why don't you try doing a YouTube channel? And I was like, can you make any money doing that? I was right. You can't. No, you cannot make any money doing YouTube. But he convinced me that there was, I didn't even know that you could. I thought people were doing YouTube channels for a hobby. I didn't know anyone did it for a job. Anyway, so I started doing a YouTube channel about, I think it was about 9 years ago, something like that. I don't know. I don't count these things so much. And I had a certain style, as a lot of you are aware of, where I was very abrasive, very sweary. I wanted to have the academic background and have the right information, but I wanted to present it in a way that no one was expecting. I wanted to do shock and awe. And that was great. It got me started. It got me notoriety. It got me a cult following. But it's also now the thing that kind of handbrakes me because everyone's like, well, that guy's just a bit much. So now I'm having to like reform myself and redo my style and be more professional and wear a tie and not say naughty words and all of that kind of stuff. And, make the kind of videos that people are clicking on, like, here's 10 things you must absolutely know about meat right now. The kind of videos I absolutely hate making, that kind of thing. So I did that and am doing that still to some degree. I also took on a client base to do one-on-one consultancies with people that want second, third opinions or even first opinions on health-related issues, which I'm still doing. I also took on marketing a range of nutraceutical supplements from the Cereal Company, which I'm still doing. Then my partner said to me, why don't we buy a farm? It'll be great. I believed her that it would be great to buy a farm. Hey, the buying of the farm was great. That was awesome. Having a farm, great when it's going well, which is never. It's like painting the harbour bridge. You fix something, something else breaks, an animal gets sick. We've had 2 times 200-year floods separated by 14 days. So there's something wrong with the math there. It's one of the things about doing your stats, longhand. When you work, no, that's not right, is it? They're not 200-year floods. They're 14-day floods, 2 of them. And we're still cleaning up a year and a bit later from that. So I know, sorry, very, very long answer, but there it is. That's me. That's what I'm doing these days. Basically, I'm a farmer who also has 3 other jobs, and I'm trying my hardest to be more commercially viable on the YouTubes these days. There you go.
Okay, so before I go into my next question, I was going to say, I love that cup. I have that cup. I thought that I heard some animals in the background, maybe. It sounds like a bird or something there.
Yep. So you're probably hearing the roosters because it's rooster crowing time here, which is all the time, pretty much. People say, roosters crow in the morning. Who told you that? It's all the time. So we have roosters, we have ducks and Muscovy, we have goats, we have cattle, we have sheep, we have 2 absolutely useless furry little dogs, myself, my partner, my sister, 2 of her kids, and another family all living here. It's a proper Jippo community. It's awesome.
It is awesome. And I bet the farm is better than it sounds, but 2 major 200-year floods, 14 days apart, sounds like a nightmare.
It was, I look back on that now and I kind of go, wow, okay, so we survived that. It was truly biblical. If anybody wants to see footage of that event, you can go to my Instagram, which is at Bart_KAY_nutrition. And mostly that's just farm videos. I don't actually talk about nutrition on there very much at all. But there you go. So you can see all sorts of things happening around the farm there. Little short videos, what's happening today, what's happening right now.
I love them. I like watching them. So the other thing I wanted to say is, maybe being yourself on YouTube will draw you the right people, because I found you and I thought he looks like a military, like very important person, the way I see you sometimes. And then I'm like, oh, he's actually telling us the truth. We need to pay attention.
You need to stand to attention. Stand up straight, soldier.
Yeah, I
front
loved
and center.
it.
Yeah. Now, look, I play 4 or 5 different-ish characters on my YouTube videos from time to time. the least common that people have ever seen is me being me. It's always an act of some kind. Although there's a bit of it these days, I'm trying to be more accessible and more vulnerable and more, real, so that people see that behind these characters, there's an actual living, breathing human being who has a soft center and is likable and actually is quite a nice bloke after, having watched me curse out a lot of people saying the wrong thing. People think that's, people say to my partner, Pam, how do you live with this guy? And she goes, if he was really like that, do you think I'd still be here? Anyway, there it is.
I think that showing your authentic side is a great thing, but I also think just teaching people, you must really like helping people because look at all that you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a real driver to be helpful in any way I can to people that deserve my help, really. There are those who don't. And I think that, there's a wisdom in knowing the difference. But anyone who is still worthy of help and assistance from me, I will render it, absolutely, if I've got it to give.
There are people looking for you that are looking for the truth, that want someone to tell them the truth. They've been chasing everything.
You can't handle the truth. I'm kidding.
But seriously, like when I found you, I was like, some of your videos, they're very, very interesting and fun. And so I found one where you were pointing out all the ways that someone was wrong. And I really liked it. It got my attention. The way that you advertised it got my attention. And I was like, ooh, I got to watch this. And then I was like, I'm rethinking everything I've learned so far. Definitely rethinking everything. Thank you.
You're welcome. But also, I'm very sorry to have done that to you. Because now that you've joined the small band of people in the world who actually can think critically and challenge what they've been told by someone in authority, now your life is either much easier or much harder.
Easier.
I'm glad
so many
it's
people
easier.
throw so many things out there and they were like, you got to do this and you got to do that and you got to do this. You got to do it perfectly. And then you think, I don't think I can do it at all.
Yeah.
I have
and then
your
you go,
5,
sod it all. I'm not going to interact with anybody. I'm going to go and buy a farm. It'll be great.
That's really smart. And where are you located? I know where you are, but let's just say, where are you located?
So we have determined that this farm property, 45 acres or so of it, is now an independent sovereign nation. We have seceded from the formerly great nation of New Zealand. We're surrounded on all borders by the former New Zealand, now the communist state of Hardonistan. And that's in homage to our ex-leader, whose name is Jacinda Ardern, but we called her Jabcinda Hardon, because she was the one that caused all that problem around about 2020 onwards. Anyway, that's for another day. So we are in the Tasman district of New Zealand, which is the sunshine capital of New Zealand. We get more sunshine hours than anywhere else, except I think in recent years, Hawke's Bay, which is up north, has given us a run for our money, but still we're the champions of the world.
Are you originally from New Zealand?
Yeah. I was born and bred in the North Island and lived most of my life in the North Island. The Tasman district where we are now is in the South Island. But in between, I went and lived in the UK for 7 years or so, between 11 and 18, and came home and just decided, hey, let's give the South Island a go because it's been there all along. I wouldn't go back now to the North Island. And I'm saying that as a boy, because like in New Zealand, you're from the north or you're from the south, and, it's like, so, for a North Island boy to be saying, I wouldn't go back there from here, that's something for you. A lot of people come to New Zealand and they go, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, and they get around and they see the major sites of the North Island, and then they jump on a plane and leave. You missed the whole point. Get down here to the South Island of New Zealand. Tell you what, if you're anywhere near the Tasman district, sing out, come and visit us. Yes. This guy here will probably say hello. Yes, hello. Yeah, well, you go and do your thing, Ted. Good boy.
So let me ask you, what brought you to carnivore? I mean, with everything that you've learned from academia and all the other ways of eating that there are on this great planet, what made you look at this way of eating and think, maybe we've gotten something fundamentally wrong?
Combination of several things. Number one, I am hardwired. It's a personality structure. It's part of who I am. I am absolutely hardwired to take the opposite route to what the crowd is taking on every topic, just about. If there's a consensus around, if there's an accepted idea that X, Y, or Z is so, I am going to absolutely destruction test that, and I am going to find where the flaws are. So that's one. Number two, when I first started doing the YouTube thing about 8 or 9 years ago, I was eating almost carnivore, but not actually carnivore. And no one had said to me, you don't actually need any plants at all, Had somebody said that to me, I would have checked it out and gone, well, hang on a minute, is that correct or not? And I would have found out that it is correct. You don't need any plants at all. But I saw the Petersons and I saw Sean Baker and those kind of characters. And I went, you know what? That makes sense. There's no scientific reason what they're saying is not going to fly. It absolutely will fly. And then I set about really trying to find any flaw with that. I'm still looking. There still isn't one. So there was that. And then added to that, when I actually dropped out the last little bit of plant material back then, I found that there was a vast improvement in my affect, my life, my psychological state, my mental state, my mood state, my physical health, which was problematic back then and is less so now. And so all of those things converged for me to go, oh, I can't find a fault with it academically, logically, epistemologically. That's a big word, I know. I also can't find any flaw with it in terms of my own anecdote of what I'm experiencing. There are others online suggesting the same thing too. I'm going to give this thing a trial for a few years and see what happens. And then I did. And what has happened is I've kind of settled on, across time, I've settled on a mostly carnivore, but not entirely carnivore, almost like it was when I first started. But the material that's not carnivore that comes in is less overtly problematic for me. I've worked out what things I can get away with. And so I'm kind of, while my scientific discipline is top notch, while my knowledge is absolutely bang on, my personal discipline, my own habits, not so much. I would say 95% carnivore across the decade or so, with periods of being really good and periods of really not being good. So there you go. I'm a human being.
Yeah. So Sean Baker actually said at Meat Stock, the whole purpose of carnivore, it's not to be carnivore. It's really to get your health back. Because there were so many different people there from different angles of carnivore, and some are hardcore and whatever. And he just said, the point of all of this isn't to be carnivore. It's really to get your health back, because he was trying to kind of smooth out the differences of opinion, so to speak. Yeah. But I thought that was powerful, because we had everybody from Michaela Peterson to Kelly Hogan to lots of different people on the stage with him. And, they don't all get along about everything. But the main thing is we're all here because we want to be healthy.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
My audience is actually midlife women.
Okay.
And
my favorite.
It's incredible the things that we're told, especially in the US, about being, 35, 40. Once you get to 40, they start talking about something that I don't agree with, that I think's made up.
Yeah.
I think that perimenopause is literally a term made up to prescribe something, to treat something that's from lifestyle and food habits, more than it is about you are now diseased just because you hit a certain age. And on top of that, there's nothing you can do about it, but I'll give you this to fix it, which is super frustrating. So I am 53 and I have literally watched my entire life change. Now, have I healed everything? Not yet. I've been here for about 3 years, 3 months as a carnivore. Not always perfect, but I find that women are lied to and even gaslit about what's happening. And instead of saying, listen, the food you're eating isn't really meant to moderate. You actually should re-examine what you're doing in your life. And the reason you're not sleeping is not because you're having a hot flash in the middle of the night and then it's making you feel like you're heating up from the inside out. I have never had a hot flash. And I think it's a lifestyle thing that women are lied to about and programmed to believe that they will just be diseased when they hit 40. When they get to 50, certainly they're diseased. And I've seen and heard a story, a woman and her husband were both sick. They went to the doctor. The doctor gave him a prescription and told her it was menopause and said bye. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. The whole, your labs look fine. We'll see you next year. That was a theme that I've heard forever. So now it's like, I don't even worry about that because I get my own labs, but I try to not run to the doctor every time something feels off just because I have an interesting situation. I have histamine intolerance. So when I go to the doctor, they're like, we want you on the Mediterranean diet. You can't do carnivore. And then they're like, oh, you can't eat all these things. That's interesting. And then they stop saying it. But they are saying this and that and the other, and I need this and I need that. You need to go to this doctor. What do you think about the way that the medical system is set up and the way that the food system is set up? And how is that affecting women in midlife?
The medical profession is not in existence to support people. It is not in existence to support the health of people. If you go through the allopathic medicinal playbook, you would struggle to find a single intervention that they prescribe, because that's basically what it is. It's prescribed drugs. So we're not talking about the surgical side. We're talking about the sit down across the desk, talk to a patient for 5 or 10 minutes if you're lucky, and write a prescription for some chemical. All right? Please name me any prescription drug that cures any disease at all.
You can't.
The one thing that I've ever heard anyone come up with is, well, penicillin does kill the Black Death plague. Okay, fine. Not another, I can't think of any other drug whatsoever that cures it. They're all symptomology management. The whole industry is designed on keeping you beholden to that industry. Oh, you're having this symptom. Here's a drug that'll fix that symptom up for you. And then they pat themselves on the back, these largely arrogant individuals that are in allopathic medicine. And haven't I done a great job? I've helped this woman with her symptomology. No, you clown. Your job was to cure her of any disease process that she might have had going on, not pat yourself on the back for sorting out symptoms. Because here's the thing, you sort out the symptoms with one drug and that causes a bunch of other symptoms of the drug. So you got to give them another drug. Oh my goodness, it's ridiculous, the whole thing. And the food industry is also just that, it's an industry. It is designed to supply a large number to the bottom right-hand corner of the balance sheet of the companies that produce this slop that we're expected to eat. And none of these things are about health. But what we do is we have this magnificent brainwashing propaganda machine to tell people from the earliest possible age, i.e. as soon as they can understand the English language, if that's what you speak, that this is what's good for you and the other thing isn't. This is what we're going to market to you. This is what we're going to sell you. We're going to tell you it's safe and effective, health promoting, and we're going to call the other stuff bad for you in some way without actually proving that that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a person who has got to your middle ages, 35 to 50, 55, whatever, you've probably gone through the same indoctrination program that the rest of us have if you live in any westernized country anywhere around the world. And you've been told 5+ a day, fruit and vegetables, eat your healthy grains, your heart healthy, your grains. Avoid all that nasty saturated fat and red meat though, despite the fact that there are a number of studies that have assessed people for, are you following these dietary guidelines for real, or are you just saying you are? Such studies prove that people at large are generally following this pattern, 5+ a day, fruit and vegetables, avoid all that saturated fat and nasty cancer-causing meat and stuff like that, right? And yet, if you look at public health statistics, it's an absolute horror story, and it gets worse and worse and worse by the year. At some point, if you're a remotely logical human being, you've got to stop, throw a spanner in there and go, hang on a minute, this is not adding up. The information we're being told about what's good for us cannot be correct. That's kind of where it sits for me. And so my whole gig is to encourage people to stop and challenge everything that they hear from everybody, including me.
Absolutely, because they're not going to find answers if they don't. It's like here in the US, we have 60 to 80,000 boxed, I call them fake food and non-food items that are sold as healthy and food. What I was thinking when you were talking is people are eating maybe the fruits, vegetables, and the 11 servings of carbohydrates that they're supposed to have every day, which sounds insane. But they're also eating ice cream and cake and chips and all these things. I'm walking through the store and I'm like, these are engineered to sell lots and lots of product. They are not engineered to make us healthy. So people are eating the fruits and vegetables believing they're good for them, but they're also eating all this other nonsense that
Sure.
isn't real food. And they're
Yep.
expecting to moderate it, which is the most hilarious thing. And they can't figure out why their body's not working correctly and why it's in chaos. So it's very interesting to me. Let me ask you this. So once a midlife woman's body starts changing, they're not really doing anything different, but just suddenly everything starts changing. And the entire focus that we in the US especially are programmed to believe that weight loss, it should be the main focus and the number on the scale. But if weight loss is actually the real answer, why would they look at the scale for the number? Because the number is not actually saying what's happening inside their body metabolically, right? So
Absolutely.
getting smaller, this is my big question for you. So getting smaller, is that the real answer to solve their health? Or is it something else?
Right. Well, look, if the goal is to weigh less on a scale, I can provide you the answer like that. And I'll do it for free. Well, look, if weighing less is truly the goal, I can solve that for you immediately, just like that, and I won't even charge you a cent. You can't say fairer than that, can you? Here we go. Amputate your arms and legs. You will weigh a lot less immediately. No stress, no effort on your part. Just lie there and let the surgeon cut your arms and legs off. Awesome. You're welcome. Send me, I don't know, all your money. No, look, what you weigh on a scale, as you quite clearly said there, actually tells us nothing about either what's going on metabolically, which is the most important thing, nor does it actually tell us anything about the way that weight is made up on your body. Because your weight on a scale is muscle mass, water, non-muscle mass, skeletal mass. There are different components of that mass. The one that is most immediately variable actually is water. Hey, you want to weigh half a pound less immediately? Go and urinate. Job's done. Again, not much effort involved there. The second most immediately movable part of that weight component area is the fat that's stored on your body. Here's the thing. You're genetically programmed to store fat under certain conditions, and you're also genetically programmed to use that fat for energy later on when that's useful under certain conditions. All you need to do is put the right conditions in play. So your goal is not to weigh less at all. Your goal is to have less fat for most women. Because again, that's what you're conditioned to believe you should have, is less fat on your body, which for a lot of women is correct. They could do with a bit less. However, many women have the idea that a lower level of fat than is healthy should be the goal. And I don't subscribe to that either. You do need a certain amount, in the same way that a man does, but you just need a bit more than a man does in terms of what's the ideal, actually health-promoting level of fatness on a body. So that's basically how all of that flies. If you want to optimize the composition of your body, there are several things that I would advise. Number one, if there is a scale, a weighing scale in your house, get it out of your house today. Sell it, throw it in the trash, I don't care. Get it out of your life. Don't ever, I mean this seriously, pay attention, don't ever stand on a scale for any reason. Ever. It will lie to you. It will lead you up the garden path. It will discourage you. Because here's the thing. One of the best ways to optimize your body composition is to put on a small amount of muscle mass, because it's metabolically incredibly active and it will raise your metabolic rate, thus meaning that you are less apt to store fat ongoingly. However, per inch cube of muscle tissue, that weighs 3 times what the same volume of tissue in fat would weigh. So you might stand on a scale and go, I haven't lost any weight at all, but you might be a completely different shape, which was the goal in the first place. You've been fooled into believing that the answer is in your weight. No. What is your best gauge of your body composition? So long as you don't have body dysmorphia or some other means that you are unable to be objectively truthful with yourself, the best thing for you is a full-length mirror. That is how to gauge what your body composition. And if you can't be honest with yourself, ask someone who's near and dear to you who can be honest with you, who you won't strike dead with your eyes of hex death for telling you the truth. That's your answer. Get rid of the scale. Optimize your inflammasome and optimize your endocrine systems. The way to do that is to live a life which is in line with and consistent with your evolutionary past. Hyper carnivore, no plants, to speak of, no carbohydrates to speak of, no processed foods at all, that sort of thing. So there you go. That's my prescription. If you want to know about reducing chronic systemic inflammatory overburden, which is a very important thing for everybody, woman or not, there's a video on my channel called 5 Health Hacks You Need to Know. It's designed around my experience dealing with thousands and thousands of clients on what is most effective at getting people's inflammatory systems under control within about 6 to 8 months. All you need to do is follow 5 steps. All 5, not 4.5. I wish you could get away with 4.5. You can't. All 5 are required. That's why they're there on the list. A lot of people also say, well, what about this, that, or the other thing? And I say, well, it's number 6 or lower. And the top 5 are effective 99 point something % of the time. So let's just do that. And then if that doesn't work, we can look at your number 6. I know, long answer again, but there it is.
I have them written down and they're on a sticky note on my laptop. This is my version of what I heard you say.
Yep.
So I like to run down through them really quickly. And then I want to ask you a question about GLP-1s if we can. So your 5 steps, and we don't need to go all the way down the rabbit hole. They can look at your channel, but I do want to kind of just touch each one and ask a question. Mm-hmm. So the 5 steps are, number 1, no plant materials. So your number 2 is stem cell product. It's called cereal stem cell activation. Anyway, I take that. So the reason I'm saying this is because I looked at it and I sent you a message. I was like, wait, it's got spirulina in it. And you wrote back, that's not a plant.
That's right.
I also have heard people talk about chlorella. So I don't know the difference, if you want to talk about the difference of the two of those and how they're not a plant, because someone like me thought it was a plant.
Right. Plants are thought of as health promoting. Plants are thought of as good and clean, and, you know, putting this supplement is okay for vegans on the label and stuff makes people lead. And the company itself refers to this stuff as algae. Okay. The reason they call it algae is because they have to call it something. And I've been to the lake where the stuff grows in Oregon. It's the only place in the world the stuff grows, by the way. There are other similar species elsewhere, but this one lake, it's Upper Klamath Lake, actually, which is a volcanically fed lake from the Crater Lake, which then percolates down into the Upper Klamath Lake. And what you've got is these green, almost filamentous hair-like structures floating around in the water, which look like a plant, and they're not. They are cyanobacter. A cyanobacter is a whole kingdom of things that are not animals, and they're not plants. They're in between. They have the ability to photosynthesize like a plant, but in every other way, they're more like a bacteria. And a bacteria isn't an animal either, by the way, but there you go.
What's the difference in spirulina? And okay, so for me, I have an accent. I call it algae, but I get where you said I just want to say it in my accent, so people are like, "Oh, that's right. Algae." That's what we call it here in Virginia.
Yeah, yes. But then you guys can't say aluminium properly either.
Oh, I don't even know how to say that. What is that?
Aluminum.
Aluminium is what you call it. Yeah, we call it aluminum.
Word. It's not aluminum. It's aluminium. Anyway, carry on.
That's beautiful. Okay. What's the difference between spirulina and chlorella?
Got it. Okay. So these are all different species of cyanobacter. Spirulina is a cyanobacter, chlorella is a cyanobacter, a different one, and AFA, the stuff from which the stem enhanced ultra product is made, all different cyanobacter species. The one thing that they have in common is their ability to photosynthesize. And the other thing that they all have in common is that they tend to concentrate heavy metals, which is not a good thing, obviously. They also tend to contain other species with them that float around with them that are known hepatotoxins, meaning, you know, they will destroy your liver tissue, basically. So when you go to the health food store to buy your dried spirulina or your dried chlorella, or even there are other companies, not the cereal company, other companies that are selling the same stuff out of the same lake that I'm talking about, just dried algae, green powder in capsules. What those companies are actually feeding people is whatever that species of cyanobacter was, sure, which mostly you won't be able to access anyway because of the cell wall, but also you're going to get heavy metals and other species that are poisonous to your liver mixed in with it. It's Russian roulette. I wouldn't touch any of those products with a barge pole, personally. The cereal stem enhance and Cyactive products, which come from AFA and actually from spirulina, it turns out. These products undergo a proprietary patented process by which they're cleaned up of heavy metals and hepatotoxins, and they are activated to make them work properly in your body to do what they're supposed to do. No other company has access to this process. And if you're interested in that process, there is a video on my channel which outlines the process, because I actually went and visited the factory that makes the raw ingredients stuff with a bunch of other Cerule affiliated folks a couple of years ago. And we met the bloke who's in charge of the process of the harvesting and the making of the stuff. And we went through the factory and saw what goes on and how it's done. And you can watch that video anytime you like on my channel. I think it's called Cerule Products, How They're Made, or something, very imaginative like that. So that's the real difference, I think, between what we have on offer and so-called health foods based on dried so-called algae.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Russian roulette. Don't go anywhere near it. I wouldn't, personally.
Okay, so I'm going to go down a rabbit hole really quick.
Okay.
So what made you do a multi-level marketing company versus just selling it outright?
Right. It's not my company. It's above my station. I don't own it. I don't have shares in it. The company does what they want to do. They decided to adopt a multi-level marketing approach to selling their product to end consumers. I actually have no problem with multi-level marketing whatsoever. If it's done ethically, which the Cerule company absolutely does, if it's within the laws of every country that it's available in, which they are, and Cerule is in 70 plus countries and territories around the world, they operate legally in every single one of those. There are no ethical issues. I know the owners of the company quite well. I've spent quite a bit of time with them, and, one of them is a New Zealander, so he must be good. There you go. Yeah, it's not a problem or an issue for me. I mean, there are multi-level companies out there that are not ethical, that are not running things well, and that do end up with people losing the farm because they've bought in hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of product that they can't move or something stupid like that. We don't do that. That's not how we run business, basically. It's just a means of advertising a product from a company to an end consumer, which bypasses the need to pay millions and millions and millions of dollars for advertising. We do the advertising word of mouth. I'm doing it right now. And the company pays me commensurate with my effectiveness in communicating about that product to people by paying me commission on any sales that are traceable to me when people use that link right there to go and buy their product, and or to take advantage of the fact that they too are allowed, if they want to join as an independent business owner with the right to on-market the products as well. I fully support doing that. If people are looking for extra income, how else do you get into a proper serious business without proper serious money? I think it costs about $75 to register as a Cerule distributor. So what made me choose that? I didn't. I chose the product and the company to market because the product is absolutely top-notch. It does exactly what it says it does. I've actually been taking the product myself for 17 years, and I have had life-changing improvements in my health status coincident with taking the product. And many of those occurred well before I went carnivore. So there is a separation there as well. Okay. The fact that the company is a multi-level company is above my station. And I wouldn't have it any other way, because if it wasn't, I wouldn't have the opportunity. All I could do would be an affiliate and get commissions on sales. I couldn't build myself a network of people who also on market and get paid for the whole lot.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's why.
And, I don't disagree with multi-level marketing, network marketing. I think that it's the way to bring your, instruction to the person through a person that knows them. So yeah, I think it's genius. I just was curious because, some of those bad companies make it harder for other companies because they just, put a bad taste in your mouth. Let's move to the next one. Ground electrically.
Yeah.
What does that mean? And would you get struck by lightning if you had it out in the yard and you were on your grounding sheet?
Ground yourself electrically is just that. It's making an electrical connection between your body and earth. The most common way that people do it is they buy a grounding bed sheet, which sits underneath your fitted bed sheet over your mattress, and it's got usually silver threads through it, and there's usually a dome push-on connection to a wire, which most people then plug into their 3-pin wall outlet. The 2 electrical pins are just plastic dummies. There are no wires or anything. They're just to hold the thing in the wall. The only thing that's connected is the earth pin, so you're grounded to earth because your house is grounded to earth. That's how that works. Other people go, nah, dirty electricity though, which is not something I particularly buy into, but okay, whatever. Nonetheless, on a precautionary principle, we don't plug into the wall. We have metal spikes in the ground outside. The cable goes through the window. They're only little thin wires, and you can close the window over them, and that's fine. And then you put the other end onto the spike in the ground, and we are grounded that way. Is there a risk in electrical storm situations? Sure, if there's an electrical storm, you probably want to disconnect it, maybe. It's pretty damned unlikely. I mean, that they refer to the odds of being struck by lightning as being astronomically low, because they are at the end of the day. The other thing you might do is have a lightning strap on your house.
What's that?
It's a metal strap which connects to the highest point of your house, and it then directs straight down to the ground and is grounded somewhere off the house. That way, when electricity strikes, it goes that route and not the route that you're connected to. The other thing about these things is they're only little thin wires. If an actual lightning strike did hit, it would actually just burn that wire out in microseconds, thus breaking the connection.
Uh-huh.
One of the things that's very interesting about the farming thing here is we've got electric fences to keep animals in, and they're rated at sort of 7,500, 8,000 volts, but they do not kill animals or people. That's enough voltage to kill you outright stone dead if it was like a constant a constant voltage. It's not. It actually, when you contact an electric fence, the voltage drops really, really quickly. So it's enough to give you a fright, but it's not enough to do any damage because it's so brief. The same deal with an electrical strike that would go through such a cable like that. It would burn the cable out. You wouldn't actually be subjected to the full 9 yards of it.
That makes sense to me. And so how would a U.S. citizen find some quality grounded sheet or sheet strip that goes across the bed that's real, that actually works?
Right. That company that begins with A that sells everything.
Really? And how do you find this?
Just go to that site, that Jeff Bezos company, and type in electrical grounding bed sheet, and any number of options will come up. Good quality, well, they're all the same thing. There's nothing technical about them. They are a bed sheet that will go underneath your fitted bed sheet, and the connection is made through body moisture through your sheet. They have silver wires in them, as I said. They have a push-on connector that either goes to a stake in the ground or plugs into your wall. That's all they are. Some of them have resistors in them as well, whatever, but mostly that's it.
Yeah, but you also talked about you have a mouse pad that keeps you grounded. So that's basically the same thing.
It's the same concept exactly. Instead of it being a sheet on the bed, it's a mouse pad on the desk, which has a wire connected to the same stake in the ground.
So interesting. And this keeps you grounded while you're working, and then it keeps you grounded while you're sleeping.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time grounded.
That's really good.
To make sure I'm grounded when I'm doing farm work, I put on big rubber gumboots with big rubber soles that insulate me absolutely.
I know.
Anyway,
so what about the people who ground by going outside and they're walking in the grass barefoot and they don't have sunglasses on and they're getting the sun in their eyes? Is that grounding as well?
Yeah, it is. Okay. So long as you're grounded to the earth and not trying to do it on concrete that's dry. Wet concrete will still conduct, but dry concrete won't. A lot of people say go to the beach and walk along the beach. Well, that's fine so long as the sand is wet. If it's dry, you won't be grounded. Why not? Well, sand is basically the main component of glass, isn't it? And glass is an insulator. It doesn't conduct electricity well at all. Go and get your toes in the water, or at least wet sand. That'll do it.
Wow,
but yes, that's grounding. The problem with it, though, is that most people don't walk around barefoot on the beach or around on the lawn or whatever for hours and hours and hours. They might do it for a few minutes. You do sleep in a bed for hours and hours and hours.
Yes, you do sleep in the bed.
And the thing about grounding is it's most effective when it's done for hours and hours and hours and hours. In fact, ideally, biologically, we ought to be grounded to the earth all the time. It's only in the last 100 years or so that we've insulated ourselves from the earth by living in insulated houses, which we had to do because of the electrical thing, and driving around in cars with rubber tires and putting rubber soles on our shoes, wearing shoes at all, not sleeping on the ground in caves. Has its bonuses, not sleeping on the ground in caves, but one of them is not the fact that it breaks the electrical connection between us and the earth.
Wow, that's pretty good.
The first time I heard about grounding, I thought, this is crazy. This is woo-woo. This is hairy-legged, crystal-waving nonsense. I'm a scientist, for goodness sake. Why on earth are you telling me this? The person that suggested it to me had the gear, shall we say, to say to me, well, if you are a scientist, you'll check out whether what I've just said is actually correct or not, then won't you? And I was like, you got me. Anyway, what I'm suggesting to you is check it out. Don't believe me. Go and check it out. I did.
That's right.
Cool.
Okay. I see that you have your glasses on. How do people tell? Like my red glasses, everything still has I can tell slightly color, but I take them off. Yeah, I put them on in the morning as soon as I get up until I get outside.
Yeah.
Because I don't want any artificial light. So tell me about the glasses.
Yep. So the fourth of the 5 health hacks is blocking blue light from your eyes after sundown. The glasses I'm wearing right now are not blue blockers. They are partial blue blockers. They're yellow. Why do I wear these? Because they sharpen my vision. They take out just the blue that doesn't focus well on the retina, thus making all the greens pop. The focus is, these have also got my corrected prescription in them as well, but it's a daytime thing, the yellow. If I want full spectrum light, I can take these off and just go, okay, there's full sunlight. But I find these quite trippy. I enjoy them, and I will wear these for part of the day. Actual blue blockers are dark orange at least, and probably more like red in color. There are companies that sell blue blocking lenses that don't distort the color, like for computer use. Well, if you put these things on and you look at your screen and you can still see blue, it's not blocked, is it? Come on. That's pretty straightforward. They call them blue blockers because they block a very, very thin portion of the blue. And now they're allowed to say, this blocks blue. No. Blue wavelengths are between this and this. They're not like that. You need to block them all. And the way to do that is with dark orange or probably more like red lenses. The way to tell if they're working or not is you put them on and you look at something that you know is blue, like that. This is a plastic fork that happens to be a blue color. If you look at that with the blue blocking lenses on, it will go, if it's a dark, like navy blue, it'll go black. If it's a mid-range blue, kind of like what this one is, it will go green or grey, but you'll go, that is not blue, it's green or it's grey. And if it goes black, well, that's black. In other words, you cannot see blue. If you look at the thing and you can say, you know what, that looks blue, they're not working. They're not blocking all the blue. That's basically an acid test that you can use at home. And that happens after the sun goes down or before it comes up.
So where would someone find a really good pair of these glasses? I know the A word, but let's just say they're looking at them.
I know some A words too, but we won't use those today.
Well, they don't want to just buy them, get them, have to return them. How would they look for a good brand?
Usually a good brand of blue blockers will say blocks all blue wavelengths and will say, between 350 and 450 or 350 and 500 usually is the range that covers the blue spectrum. So that's the warranty you're looking for, that these are proper blue blockers that block all the blue wavelengths. Minimally, from memory, minimally it's 350 to 450, but ideally it's 350 to 500.
Okay. So what kind are you wearing?
These kind are a pair I got from one of the online retailers that does blue blocking glasses of various different colors and grades, but also they'll do your prescription. If you say, here is my prescription, I want these frames, go for it. Bon Charge is the company I was looking for. That's what I was trying to remember. Bon Charge. They don't pay me anything. I have no relationship with them or anything. That's just who I got them from. And I believe they are a US-based company. I don't know.
Okay.
There's also another company in Australasia that people down here can use, but they don't pay me any money either, so I won't mention them.
Okay.
Blockbluelight.com.au. There you
go. Okay, so you have, for number 5, I kind of have two different things on there because I was doing just strength training at that point, and I'm not a cardio girl. I don't believe cardio is the answer to everything, but you do talk about HIIT training, and then you mentioned at some point strength training. So I wrote HIIT/strength.
Yep.
Now, for women in midlife, we have heard of this thing called SIT training, which is sprint interval training, which could be basically HIIT, but it's short.
Yeah. Okay. The deal with the exercise is what you're after is short, lasting, maximally intensive bursts of activity like sprinting or like resistance training. It's a combination of both, either or both in your program. It's 3 or 4 times a week, never on consecutive days, whole body split every time. You don't need to do this part of your body one day, another part of your body another day, push, pull, any of that nonsense. Your whole body is involved every time. Make it load bearing if that's possible for you. Some people it's not. Okay, fine. For most people though, your own weight, your own body weight is the resistance. You can add additional weight once you start getting to a point where That's not intensive enough. The main focus is always to increase the level of resistance you are overcoming, never increase the amount of time over which you are exercising. For goodness sake, we're all busy, we've all got things to do, and spending hours and hours and hours doing moderate intensity exercise is A, a waste of time, and B, will not achieve the outcomes you're looking for anyway. It's nonsense. It's not the correct way to train for the goals that we've been talking about. That's what we do.
Oh, so good. You just totally changed the game for me. That's really good. So I do upper body, lower body, and then total body 3 different days a week. But I could just do total body all 3 days and then just maybe sprint, which I just started experimenting with. So very interesting.
Yep.
That's good. So let's jump over to GLP-1s now for a moment and talk about the glamorization of taking drugs that actually make you not want to eat and then only be able to eat a small amount of food. And people are eating trash for the food that they're actually eating, but they think they're accomplishing something by not eating. And are they losing muscle? Are they doing damage to their body? And is the risk and the benefit not really too far off from each other? I don't understand.
Okay. There are several threads there that probably could do with being teased out. For certain people, under certain circumstances, under the right level of supervision from someone who knows what they're talking about, there are indications for people to do fasting, i.e. not take in any food at all for a period of time. The reasons for that being that it helps reset the inflammasome, or can do if it's appropriately applied. It does lead to a reduction in stored fat to some degree. It absolutely helps with things like what Americans will call autophagy. We would say autophagy, which is the body's clean up and put away theory, if you like. What happens is basically material in your body that's no longer of any use gets gobbled up by macrophages mostly, which is a group of cells that gobble up old, worn-out stuff and digest that and recycle what can be recycled and get rid of that which can't be, sort of thing. So that up-regulates when you're not taking in food for a period of time. So absolutely, fasting can be useful in that regard if it's, again, as I say, if it's done appropriately under the right supervision. Don't just go off and fast by yourself. There are all sorts of people saying, oh, it's great, just go and fast. No. I don't agree. One of the things people say about fasting is that it does cause a loss of muscle mass, to which I say this. After 3,800 million years of evolution, at least, why would your body design be so inane that when you stop taking in energy from food, instead of using the fat that you stored previously for that very purpose, instead your body starts dissolving and eating up your hard-earned protein gains while there's any fat at all stored on your body? Why would it do that? It's utter nonsense of the highest order. No, you will not lose significant muscle mass in short periods of fasting if appropriately applied. Utter garbage. Okay, so I think I've been clear about that. That said, a drug which causes suppression of your appetite, not a good idea for many reasons. One of the things that is known to occur on GLP-1s is a increase in your basal production of insulin. Now, you might think, well, what's your problem with that? Well, I'll tell you what. Having chronically elevated insulin is one of those things that will cause an inflammatory response concomitantly, which means inescapably this happens because of that. There is a pathway causally that's established. That's why insulin resistance, as it's typically referred to, is a bad thing, because you will be inflamed through a number of mechanisms, including a direct mechanism of insulin itself on the inflammatory process. So you're robbing Peter and paying Paul, basically. Here's another way of getting through the hunger pangs that you will have when you're fasting. Do something that I've never been able to do myself very well. Get some discipline in your life. If you've got a goal that's strong enough, you'll be prepared to pay the price, won't you?
So do you think that you need to be in a ketogenic state to fast? Or can you just go fasting from being in a glucose burning state?
Right. Typically for most people, plus or minus standard deviation, the average time frame over which a person will get ketosis up and rolling to a decent level, it's about 72 hours without the intake of any carbohydrate whatsoever. If you're taking any carbohydrate at all, it will slow that down. Carbohydrate drains out of your system remarkably slowly, is what I'm saying. And as such, it does take a bit to get it up and rolling. It has quite a bit of inertia in it. But once it's up and rolling, problem solved. So what you've got there is, well, here's my experience. Your mileage will vary, of course, but my experience with fasting is day 1 is the hardest day in terms of hunger. Day 2, take it or leave it. And usually by about day 3, I'm like, no, I'm not even hungry. I'm now running on fat of the land, as it were. And by the way, people say, well, you've got no fat on you, which is not strictly true. I wish it was. But even someone who is apparently quite lean, like someone who is not obviously overweight is what I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of so-called calories stored as fat on your body, even as a very thin person. So if you've got extra fat on your body, there is no chance whatsoever that you're going to starve to death. You're going to feel hungry because your body expects you to put food in, and your hormones are set up that way because you're in storage mode, and you're basically throwing on the brakes and throwing it into reverse, and you've got to bring this freight train to a halt, which is going to take a bit, and then you need to apply enough force to get it rolling back the other direction, which is going to take a bit. So there's the kind of analogy answer to that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. If someone is trying to do carnivore and they're going back and forth and they're sort of doing it, but not really got the goal and the why down, and they keep going back to carbs, what would you suggest they do to really get serious about it besides writing down their why and having a real reason? How could they really be able to make it stick?
Okay, people come from different places. They have different psychological levers, I guess, or different psychological things that cause them to behave in a certain way or not behave in a certain way. We're all a bit different. All I can do is share my knowledge around this, which is number 1, you need to understand how damaging that backwards and forwards yo-yo lifestyle is to your metabolism, to your prospects going forward, to your ongoing health situation, to your vitality, to your body composition eventually, if not immediately, but also things like diabetes, heart disease, dementia, cancer, all the big killers. If you're I don't want the negative results person, that should be enough for you. If you're one of those people that's more about, well, I'm not so much based on what I don't want, I'm more based on what I do want, then I would lead you back to that full-length mirror again. Get your kit off, stand in front of the mirror, and be honest with yourself. Is that what you want? Because where you are is a reflection of what you've been doing. A lot of people say, oh, yes, but we're just fat in our family. We're a fat family. Okay, genes are shared around families, yes. Do you know what else is shared in families usually? Behavior. And the human race, we're all 99-point-something% similar genetically. What differs between people most is not our genes, it's our behavior. Do it on faith. You're not a fat family. Just because your mum's fat, your dad's fat, your brothers are fat, your sisters are fat, everyone's fat, doesn't mean you have to be fat. It's not a fait accompli. Do the thing on faith and you'll get the result eventually. When? Yes. Well, that's the problem. Your mileage will vary because the thing is, if you've got extra fat on your body and you want to get rid of that, no amount of anything that you're going to do will shift that until you get inflammation under control, because inflammation is the thing that keeps that fat on you. And the answer is 5 health hacks. At least that's what I've found. Yeah, there it is. That's basically my whole practice, in a nutshell. Because when I'm doing consults with people, I've really only got 2 or 3 different sorts of clients. I've got people who feel like they want less fat on their bodies, to which the answer is 5 health hacks, pretty much. I've got people who are the worried well, who are perfect, their health is great, everything's awesome, their energy's awesome, their body composition's awesome, they're killing it. Hateful bastards, those kind of people. Only what they've done is they've gone to the doctor and they've got a shotgun series of blood tests for some reason and something's come back off scale. Whoops, now we've got a problem. To which my role is to convince them that that's not so. Affect is the important thing. You're great, you're killing it, your energy's awesome, your body composition's great, you're an attractive looking person, your business is going well, you have an awesome family, whatever it is. Who cares about one blood test taken on one occasion that's slightly off scale based on what the average value should be according to whom on the basis of what? I don't know. The only time I suggest blood tests, by the way, is if there is symptomology and we are trying to either confirm or refute a diagnosis. Do not get routine blood tests done. In the same way that you don't stand on a scale. Get that out of your life. It's nonsense. So there's that. And the other kind of clients I have is cancer patients. Really? I have a lot of them, and more and more in recent years, for reasons we won't go into today. So
interesting. My dad has metastatic prostate cancer that is basically run out of options. And so chemo didn't work. The other meds stopped working, like that whole thing. But I put him on carnivore in 2023, and they said he couldn't eat that because it was raising his testosterone. So,
and then, recently a study's come out saying, you know what? Testosterone doesn't cause the cancer to occur. So once again, they've been laboring for years and years and years on a false premise. The very thing that he absolutely should be doing, nutrition-wise at least, is the very thing that the medical profession will tell him not to do for a reason that turns out to be fallacious. That's one of my favorite words, fallacious. I love that word. That means nonsense, rubbish, a fallacy, fallacious. There you go. You learned another word today, maybe.
Yes.
Some of you.
So good. Okay, so if people want to see more of Bart Kay, where do they find you?
Very, very easy. Go to the YouTubes, type in @Bart-Kay. You found me. There you go.
And where else can they find your work?
Also, you can find me in terms of the farm-related videos and tidbits and snippets of what's happening on the farm. You'll find me on Instagram @Bart_KAY_nutrition. You can find a page that links off to a bunch of Bart-related stuff at bit.l for Lima, Y for Yankee, /Bart-KAY. There's that. You can get Cerule products and or Cerule business opportunities from that link there on the screen, which is bkaynutrition.cerule.com. And there is also a email. You join my email list. I won't spam you, but I'll send you out 1 or 2 emails a year about what's going on, whatever. And that I can't remember off the top of my head, but it is listed in my most recent YouTube upload, which is called something along the lines of, I was broke, but I bought a farm anyway, and so can you, which I posted on my main YouTube channel in the last few days.
Okay. So we're going to put all of your links in the show notes below. And awesome. I am so excited and thankful that I got to actually get you on the podcast. And we'll have to have you come back because there's so many things I didn't even get to ask you today.
You bet.
But I appreciate you.
Likewise.
And we will definitely be excited about the next one.
All right. I'm all about the cross-pollination, so absolutely please have your people call my people for round 2. These are my people. Hello. You can't get the help, basically. It's impossible.